What does a business loan broker do day to day? Why that should matter to you, and how does it benefit you with getting funding and more? Hi, this is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. No further introduction. I want to get into first some perspective. This will help illustrate what I'm about to say. I'm an introvert. I'm very cerebral. People would say the word brainy. I'm a thinker. I can go without saying a word, but activity wise, analytically speaking, I love doing a lot of that. I like the math, I like the systems. I come from an academic background where I went to school originally as a Division I soccer player for some time, studied a bit of sociology with that, but then I made a quick transition into chemical engineering. Went into that for some time, and then I pivoted into business. I already had the requirements partially satisfied, and then I continued on with the business stuff to get more, and because I wanted to start a business eventually. So I went down that route. Worked in construction, manufacturing, worked for an aerospace company, a manhole sewer rehabilitation company in my younger 20s, warehousing, was a ramp agent at some point, other positions out there, and I've learned a great deal from a lot of this, how they all work internally, working with the owners as well. And I was actually in like the field, the machine, and I was actually out there going to job sites before I moved into another role later on doing financial logistics. So I've seen all of that. I know how it goes. That being said, my day-to-day operations and why this should matter to you is not too many times do people put themselves in my shoes. I put myself in your shoes all the time as the business owner, not even looking for funding, but day-to-day business operations, the management, the product side, the finances side. Away from all of that, your health, your relationships, everything that begins in your personal life that then transfers into your business, your reputation, and your character. Your character is most important. The qualities there. What kind of attitude, what kind of effort do you have? What are your morals, your beliefs, your values, virtues, aspirations? How do you think? Are you organized? Are you accountable and responsible? Will you show up for the littlest things? Are you punctual and disciplined? And there's many more. Having that self-belief is most important. And I help out people in more ways than just one because I run a digital marketing agency, a lead generation business as well. That's where I began many, many years ago. And then at the same time, I was building out my health affiliate marketing business, helping people with supplements, vitamins, different products. I'm sitting on some of them right here, an ergonomic office chair. You have the desk. You also have the seat cushions. I'm sitting on one right now. You can't see, but there's another one right behind me. There's one underneath me. And there's many other products that I have that I've helped out people with in terms of like back pain and stuff like that because I went through those and I wanted to show people how to relieve that in many different capacities and then other subsets in the health space over time. Other verticals in the affiliate marketing space, other ventures, this being my primary focus as a business loan broker / agent. Myself, I can pre-underwrite files very, very well, meaning that I look at the 3 C's of capital: credit, cash flow, collateral. You either have one of these 3, 2 of these 3, or all 3. If none of them, then we work on business credit through trade credit. These are things that I can explain in time. I'll also have more information to them, like a free business credit building video series down below, and then a questionnaire to get a highly personalized and customized email response, even with a PDF included on your best funding option and options, with information thoroughly broken down to information that isn't even publicly released to your specific situation and where to get started, detail per detail, things that you wouldn't have known of, even some ballpark numbers, giving you that for those services, very organized and put down, that I've iterated over many years. And so, at any moment I can then decide I just want to focus on just being strictly an underwriter or becoming a lender or because that's where my skill sets thrive in the most. The front end stuff, I can do that. I've been doing that for some time. But if you were to say my skill set, and this is going to go into what I do day to day. If you say my skill set, if my skill set was just tied to phone calls, my skill set was tied to how well I could speak over a call and do the marketing speech or hit the pain points and do all that. I get that's part of the process ethically, but for me to say that my skill set that I'm most proud of is to be that person doing this for however long, and if it's given, that's another thing. I would feel so sad. I myself would feel disappointed in myself, all my education. Now, if it's somebody else, that's a different story. No offense to that. Everybody has their own skill sets. I'm not a talker by any means. I'm not a sweet talker. I can do well because I've learned the skill sets ethically and I won't ever pressure you, but I'd have more than just that. And this is going to go to my day to day operations. So, just to kind of give you a little bit of each, every morning from that, I wake up and I go through my routine. I'll drink a little bit of water, fold the bed sheets, or excuse me, fold the blanket mostly there, fix the bed. If I'm the last one up, usually I am. Could be, usually I am. I like to be, I got a habit of doing that. Like I'm like an old man in the 30-year-old body. I kid you not, my younger brother, my family would tell you that Mike would be like an old man. I even walk around like one sometimes. Like my back is aching, although it's not. My shoulder sometimes up here. I do work on my body physically, but I do it too because it helps this. So whenever I work on myself, it's because I'm working on myself mentally and spiritually. That's what I care about most that comes with it. If this does, okay, but it's harder to these days. I still keep myself in as much shape as I can. So wake up, go through my routine. I will stand up and meditate or mindfulness I practice. I'll close my eyes and say hi to those who are not even with us anymore but are in spirit, those that I've missed so much, like my dog brother that passed not too long ago when him and I were really, really close. Peekapoo, toy poodle, greatest dog can ask for. Very loyal, missed him. We had to put him down after 15 years with the latest stages of kidney disease, and it's just unfortunate. I was preparing for it, but it was still very, very hard that last day when we had to go put him down. It was the very hardest thing I had to do in some time. But he's my why. He's like also another reason why I do what I do, because he's been pushing me. He's there. He's seeing us still to this day. He's still with us. Even though I've grieved and moved on, I still think about him every single day, and I know he's with us. But I'll say 3 things that I'm grateful for and thankful for. Hearing it in my head. I won't say it out loud, but I hear it in my head. And then I go into saying like a few things that I'm going to probably say in the day. Hi, how are you? I even just do little practices like that. Gets things going. How are you? How's your life? How are things going? And then I go into practicing my countdown from 10 to 1. And that kind of gives me more mindfulness. 10, 9. And then after that, I'll probably do some stretching. Depending on the day, I might do a few other things. Before that, if I didn't say, once I get off the bed and drink a little bit of water, I'll go brush my teeth, do my thing there, and then come in and do the mindfulness part of it. And then I'll meditate after I stretch, do a little bit of I even do a little bit of yoga stuff just to get my flexibility going. It's good for you. Move my leg this way, move it then that way, bring them up to my chest, my knees, and then do a few things, bridges. And then I get into meditation. I do 5 push-ups first, 10. Sometimes I build up from 5, but usually I'll do 5. And then I get into meditation. I'll sit there and I'll meditate for as much as I need to, calibrate my mind. And then I go on with my day depending on what I have to do. Exercise, or then after that I go, after exercise, if I had to that day, then I go and read a book. After I've showered and done stuff like that, if I had a shower, I'll read my books. I have them right here. I have more of them too that I read through, but a couple of them that I recommend are Atomic Habits. I've read this one multiple times, like many, many times. The Power of Awareness is another one that I practice reading every day, and some other books too, but other ones that I practice for what will prepare me for the day. If there's a part of that book that I know is going to help me learn, or it's going to help me refresh my mind about, that I'm going to use, then I'll use. But then I'll go ahead and journal. I have my journal right here on what I did today on June the 22nd, on 3 things that I'm grateful for. I'll write them down in journal, do a little bit more, go through my calendar. If it's not already written, I'll write it. But I pretty much know what I'm going to do that day. So it's only like on a Sunday night where I'll do some things on the calendar and I know what's going to happen the days after that, whether they are there or not. It's pretty much the same thing unless something big were to change. And then I get into my work. I go into my emails. I'll look over things, and then uh, see if I'm not always going to be responding like right that second, do all that administrative work, or be responding back to that. I got to do a few things on my marketing and advertising side. I got to put content up that maybe was already created, or I got to create a few things. And then from that point, I got to move on to the next thing. I got to contact this lender. Then I got to contact this client. I got to contact that underwriter. Then I got to check in on this. And then I'm going to review documents from the day prior. And then more stuff that came in. I got to review documents for somebody that we're getting through an application. And then getting that over to the lender and then the underwriters, and then looking that over with the underwriters, the lenders. And so a big part of this process is me looking over documents, me analyzing and evaluating that even before it goes to the underwriter. And with the underwriter, there's more that can be done on our back end, back and forth, to assure everything looks good and it's going to the right provider. But yeah, just so you know, I'm doing quite a little bit of things, and then later on in the day, I might work on my other businesses a little bit when I have that freedom, although those work kind of not always fully automatic, by semi-automatic on that, and they're doing well on that end, but because I built those over many years. And so, like you, I run multiple businesses, and I was once in that startup phase. I remember what it was like being in a 9 to 5 and not having really much to work with. Uh, but before that, just to end the day, and then I'll kind of get into that. I go through that stuff in my sequence. There's some moments in that where if it's that a call is needed, there will be a call, maybe from 10 to 12 or plus, well, plus or minus, when people are free and it's probably an appointment or not. Not always am I doing phone calls because it has to be given, it has to be earned, it has to make sense. I have processes. So I didn't mention I have people fill out a questionnaire on my site, and I'll leave that down below if you haven't picked up on it yet. Or if you have and you're waiting, I'll respond back. And if you have gotten a response, you should know that. So you fill that out, I analyze and evaluate it, and then I'll give you a very highly personalized and customized email response with a PDF usually included on your best funding option and options thoroughly broken down based on your situation. I know how to pre-underwrite files very, very well, even without the documents. When I have the documents, then we do more extensive stuff. And so I'm able to then send you this email back in return that then you can go through, read through, and that's showing me that you have the capacity to take the time to go through something. It's not a contract. It's a document, a PDF/email, giving you the information you need to know about each and every one of these services, whether you can or can't qualify. You know it's there, and you can always reuse, refer back to, bookmark, save it for the future, not just now. But then you know what's the best and where not to go to, because there's a lot of places out there that overpromise and underdeliver. They will overwhelm you. They have your information. They're going to just send it out to third parties. You're going to be bombarded email after email if you haven't already. I know what that's like. So I have that process of it. There's an initial phase to it. Sometimes it changes depending on the circumstances of it, but it's normally that part of the process. I educate you on the back end with my content. There's emails being sent out, broadcasted, things like that, just to educate you. And then there's other stuff that I respond back to where you're going to have, and that's an immediate thing you got to take action on. We're at this part of the process, boom, boom, their application process, reviewing documents on the back end or on the front end, things that we're doing. Later on in the day, then I might be able to do a video. Sometimes I will appear in like an Instagram live or a TikTok live for a short amount of time, sometimes extensive. And video again isn't my thing, but I'm here to make sure you guys have that value, and this is a good way to do that, and I know it's helpful for you. So in the later part of my day, there might be some phone calls if it's given, if it's necessary. Not always. I've funded clients, guys, and I say this truthfully, who I've never had a call with, and literally I have great personal and business relationships with. I know how that sounds, but that is the truth. I've done that. And not always is a call necessary. You'll understand once you go through my processes if you haven't. You'll also have other ways of accessing, like email, text message, my mobile number, if so, direct message. Sometimes a call is needed for clarity at that point when you have that PDF, with that email. Then you looked at it. Okay, you just needed some clarity. We can do this and knock it out in less than 2 or 3 minutes and build maybe some more rapport, because you could build rapport in other ways. It doesn't have to be just solely a phone call. And I can figure out what those business operations, ROI and stuff are in other ways, those problems. But now later on the day, I can leave room for that, responding back to some emails, doing a few other things on my calendar, taking a break. There's quite a lot of things that can happen in the afternoon. These are just some of the many things that do go on. Offers, getting people their offers, all this other stuff that goes on. But like you, I once started in that 9 to 5 position. Like I said, I had been in various roles. Financial logistics was one of the later ones, working for a huge contracting company in my younger 20s, servicing HP and Peace Health, working a lot hard up here, also lifting boxes and media for HP and so forth. And it picked up a little bit, but it was very slow. That's why I kind of went in that role, and I knew I could move up because I thought somebody would retire. Eventually, that didn't happen. And that's another thing. I wasn't getting paid as much. Company ended up going down under. They got bought over. I made a transition with certain other employees. 50 then plus people that then got relieved from higher positions, HP and many other places. It was bad. Budget costs and cuts and all this stuff. More than that. But at the time, I was preparing. So I literally was sitting at my desk one day having lunch while my coworker was out for lunch in this cubicle just above me. We're in a 3-story building. So it's like we're at the very bottom. It's like a dungeness area. There's a lot of lighting, but it's just so dark at the same time. The bottom, you have brown concrete with cracks going in different directions. A light above me that's so bright, yet it's so dim and so low at the same time. It's kind of like you were in an interrogation room. Like it's so dark, but yet so bright at the same time. And you'd see people walking down the hall. They may look at you. They may just keep walking, or I'd give them one of these, or hi. Probably converse a little bit if necessary. But that day I had my lunch. I had it set on my table, and I started biting into my ham and cheese sandwich with my Dorito bag next to me. I can remember it well, with my water, which I usually have. It was common. And my friend Tyson responds back to a Snapchat social media app, and he responded back to my teriyaki meal. Little did I remember that it was a teriyaki at that time. When I was looking through my phone, he had messaged. Oh, and so we just got caught up, and then he was telling me about things in his trucking business and what I was doing. I told him how I'm doing good, but on the inside, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm like, I'm gonna go take another job. Do I go back and learn more for this other degree and get more under my belt with education? Go earn more certifications. Go take this other. Like I could have done plenty of things, but it just still didn't feel right at the same time. Like it's another thing. It's another thing. It's time for me to make my own jump into something else. And so we started conversating, and he told me about e-commerce, network marketing, although network marketing wasn't really my thing, although I tried it, and so then we started talking about digital marketing agency, passive income, affiliate marketing stuff, and I go, oh. Literally that same day, I think it was 2:30 when we were done, and yeah, and I had gone up the elevators that day to go up to the first floor, rushed out the doors so gingerly, but it looked like I was moving so fast. And I walked out those double doors, turned to my right, walked down the sidewalk there, and to my left is sitting my red 98 Honda, and with like the beat up sun roof and or just like the sun layering on top of the red coating, and on the front side and on the back, because of the heat when I was living in California at the time. I'm in Washington now, and I've been here for a while, but you could see that. And I drove at the speed limit. It felt like I was moving so fast though. Got home with my backpack just hanging on my left shoulder. I bursted through the doors after I opened it, and I set my backpack in front of my stair steps. I walked around gingerly, where in front of me then is my kitchen and my dining table. I grabbed my laptop, set it on my dining table, and like many people do, started to do their research. Got into videos, blogs, and from there I began building out a website. Started building out landing pages, started understanding how to put a website together and all this stuff, the emails, everything that needed to be put together for the digital marketing agency, how to acquire a lead, how to acquire leads for people through lead generation and many other ways. And then of that came about the affiliate marketing in the health space and wanting to help people with products that I didn't even own at that time. And then fueling that growth and then other verticals showing them people the different types of tools they can use. I bought into courses showing people how this could help out my current businesses in the health space and others, see if there was much of a change. So that's kind of how I use those. Grew over time. I try to have an e-commerce / affiliate marketing hybrid. I did it for a little bit, then I moved back to affiliate blog on a lot of that. But over then, it grew and things started to change. I started having to worry less about things. But before that, and even before it got anywhere, I was on unemployment benefits because the company went down under and they relieved us. And I had to go back on unemployment and food stamp cards, and I didn't want to have to go through that again. I couldn't even go to the cash register and look the person in the eye as an introvert here, anybody. But at times I would, EBT, and then just going on my ways. And when we went out for a meal with the family, I felt like a disappointment. I couldn't provide, or I couldn't provide enough. I could have saved more than what I had already. But with income and expenses and things rising, and sometimes in your younger age, you don't always have that. But just going out for a meal, even splitting it 50-50 where I knew I could, but I was like, I'm not going to have enough. Like, I didn't want to have to think like that anymore and have them feel like I was thinking that way. And so things had to change, and things started to turn around when I started really going deep into things, and I really started working. I would close the door, work for hours on hours without even a word, blogging, putting this together systematically, mathematically, boom, 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 doing a lot of that. So to say my skill set is only a phone call thing, that's not really it. So that more or less is giving you some understanding of what goes on. And there are differences in days in my activities. As a funding expert on what I do, they change. I'll just give you a quick run through of that. But with me, and why people, they turn to me, maybe see that already, is I'm just very loyal, humble, respectful, accountable, responsible, punctual, disciplined. And this grew even more over time as I worked on myself in personal development. Not that I was bad at all, but I just had to work more on my mindset and how to filter that through if things don't go right in my business, or when they do go right, how to stay complacent, emotionally controlled, logically, emotionally, hitting the right brain centers, and so forth. So hopefully that gives you some perspective. Don't take, or what I should say, commit to something. It's one thing to say, it's another thing to do it. I'm the type who does. I say less and I do more. Not because I don't know how to communicate it, but I'd rather not always just talk about it, just do it. And so I see a lot of people who don't really put themselves in my shoes, because I don't want to have to chase anybody. Whatever part of the process we're in, later stages, after, before getting started, in the process, please don't put me in that uncomfortable, ungrowing situation. That's not a growing situation. That's an uncomfortable position for anybody, let alone an introvert, let alone somebody who analytically does things and does it well and knows how to relate, knows how, and knows where you're coming from, because I've been in those positions. Or if you're even in a higher position, I'm asking you for a little bit of things. But don't have somebody chase you. Show up when you need to show up, and don't even tell me. Just do it. You tell me, that's better because I actually have an understanding, but hold yourself to it. Things come up in life, I get it. But just respond. Hey, quick text message or email. They have to be a phone call. Hey, Michael, I'm just reviewing still, or I'm getting this done. But don't be having me chase. My lenders will come back to me and go, hey, Michael, I'm not chasing. I'm trying to contact them. Nobody needs to put themselves in that position to do that. You're putting yourself in a very uncomfortable, or you're putting us, and you're putting yourself in a very unaccountable, irresponsible position. And it's about the character. The character is everything here that makes the difference. And when the character isn't molded right, the attitude, the effort, there's more ignorance, stubbornness, arrogance, cockiness, the ego is driving you, and there's more. Can we leave that out the door so that doesn't affect us? Doesn't bring in resistance, doesn't bring in friction. We look to reduce and eliminate completely that, which we can. There will be some at some points, sometimes, not always. But how can we eliminate that so that by the time we are done with our day, and myself here too, I'm not exhausted. I'm not looking back and saying that I aged 20 to 30 years through this application process. Perhaps it got done, but I would have never wanted to do that again. It wasn't by my own doing. There was just some misunderstanding from them, their own belief, something that they forgot, or that they just keep trying to drill and drill on one thing that I've tried to clarify, and even in many ways that that's not how it works. This is not, and there's some stalling, and then there's this, but there's no communication when that happens, and you were expected to respond back a certain way at a certain time. Like, please don't do that. Don't put me in an uncomfortable position. I'm not that person. I don't want to be that person who calls in. I just, sometimes I've even left the voicemail and go, I know you don't want to get a call from me, and I don't want to be or mean to be that person. I'm not, what's the word? Or I'll just go and say, well, just wanted to make sure you got this, and just want to know what your thoughts are. That's all. Feel free to reach out. You can send me a quick text or do this however you prefer. But I'm not, what's too, I guess the word is too light. I'm thick-skinned. I give people the benefit of the doubt. And there's times when I have to step in and be hard. And not aggressive in a bad way or negative, but I'm not pressuring you. It's just, why is this happening? So hopefully you get that understanding. Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. All information will be down below in the description. Excuse me. There's more I know that I can cover in a lot of this. But with myself, who I am, and with Viral Funding Solutions and who I have a network of, you're going to get a lot of experience, versatility, flexibility, and a lot more beyond just these other places that are just counting you as a number the most of the time. They run a huge advertising budget where they're going to get in front of everybody, but they really don't care about you as much, maybe. And I see that a lot of the times that they normally wouldn't in that point of view. And you have to also think about, who are you helping? Because if I could help another broker, if I can help this person who's maybe getting started, or I want to work with somebody who's more experienced because I'm at that point, I want to give them my business because I see them. I see who they are. I see how this can help them, how they're using that money that they earn to put back into their business. Others, they use it to put back into the community, to give back more to people and to help them out. And he's a true person at heart who's really going to help. And I'm going to help grow his business as well. And he can help grow my business at the same time. It's a win-win. And I'm very grateful and thankful and appreciative of all this at all times. I never take it for granted. Me, of everybody who's learned a lot through life already at my age. Very much every single day I take it for granted. Don't take anything for granted, excuse me. When I have a meal, I literally eat the slowest. I'm like the slowest at that because I'm cherishing every bite. I'm really absorbing it and thankful that I have another meal, another day to breathe, and to be at my best. So that's all for now. Appreciate you. Look down below in the description for all information, the questionnaire to begin with, and so forth. Take care.